It is a startling fact that cinema's most recognizable vehicle narrowly escaped the scrap heap on the Manhattan Bridge. It wasn't the iconic DeLorean or the legendary Batmobile, but Ecto-1, the heart of the Ghostbusters franchise. Long before its transformation into a pop culture icon, it began life as a 1959 Cadillac Miller-Meteor, a vehicle that was, quite literally, a beast on the road. In the late 50s, Cadillac wasn't just selling cars, they were selling prestige. The Miller-Meteor was a bizarre breed, a professional hybrid of an ambulance and a hearse, stretching over 20 feet long and sporting the tallest tail fins ever built. It was the heaviest, longest, and most difficult beast to handle on the road. Only about 200 were ever produced. Imagine the production crew struggle in 1984, hunting for this needle in a haystack within a graveyard of junk. But why a hearse? Director Ivan Reitman wanted something with a spiritual aura, yet spacious enough to haul hundreds of pounds of ghost hunting gear. The Ecto-1 wasn't just a vehicle, it was a character with its own personality, and a permanent patient on set, suffering from mechanical breakdowns that would make any engineer want to scream. Once the production team started adding the iconic ghost hunting gear, the weight of the Ecto-1 skyrocketed. The roof rack alone, loaded with scanners, radar dishes, and oxygen tanks, added over 500 pounds to the top of the vehicle. This created a dangerously high center of gravity. During sharp turns on the streets of New York, the car would lean so heavily that stunt drivers feared it would flip over. To prevent the chassis from snapping, the mechanics had to perform emergency surgery on the suspension. They installed heavy-duty leaf springs and air shocks sourced from commercial trucks. Even with these upgrades, the 1959 Cadillac frame was screaming under the pressure. Every time the car hit a pothole, the crew held their breath, praying the axles wouldn't shatter. The Ecto-1 wasn't just a car, it was a mobile power plant. To keep the flashing lights and the rotating radar dishes running, the team had to install a secondary high-output alternator. Miles of wiring were snaked through the interior, hidden behind the original leather panels. This created an immense amount of heat. Inside the cabin, the temperature often climbed above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, turning the car into a literal oven for the actors. Did you know that most of the high-tech equipment on the roof was actually junk? Hardware designer Stephen Dane scavenged parts from old jet engines and hospital machinery to build the roof rack. That famous green tube on the side? It was a simple plumbing pipe painted to look like high-tech weaponry. It's a masterclass in Hollywood kit bashing, making trash look like $1 million. The most terrifying moment for the transportation team happened on the Manhattan Bridge. With the police escort waiting and cameras rolling, the Ecto-1's engine simply died. Smoke began pouring from the hood. The 25-year-old Cadillac had finally surrendered. Because the bridge was a high-security zone, the crew couldn't just call a tow truck. They had to push the 3-ton beast by hand, while the actors stayed in character, pretending the car was still running. In 1984, the production was so tight on budget that they only had one fully functional Ecto-1. This is unheard of in modern filmmaking. If that Cadillac had crashed or suffered a major engine failure, principal photography would have come to a dead stop. A team of mechanics lived in a van right behind the Ecto-1, literally performing CPR on the engine between every single take. In 1984, the production was so tight on budget that they only had one fully functional Ecto-1. This is unheard of in modern filmmaking. If that Cadillac had crashed or suffered a major engine failure, principal photography would have come to a dead stop. A team of mechanics lived in a van right behind the Ecto-1, literally performing CPR on the engine between every single take. The Ecto-1 caused actual traffic accidents in New York City. Not because of how it drove, but because of how it looked. Drivers were so distracted by the bizarre, flashing ambulance that they would rear-end each other. The NYPD eventually had to assign a special detail just to manage the crowd of people chasing the car down Fifth Avenue. It was a circus on wheels. After filming wrapped on Ghostbusters 2, the Ecto-1 suffered a fate worse than any ghost. It was abandoned. For nearly 20 years, the most famous ambulance in the world sat in a backlot at Sony Pictures, exposed to the elements. Rain, snow, and rats took their toll. The iconic white paint peeled away, revealing layers of rust. The high-tech roof gear was scavenged by thieves, leaving the car a hollow shell of its former glory. By the mid-2000s, leaked photos of the rotting Ecto-1 surfaced online, sparking outrage among the Ghostbusters fan community. A group known as Ghost Corps launched a massive petition to save the Ecto-1. They didn't just want a replica, they wanted the original steel restored. Sony finally listened, and in 2007, a team of world-class restorers was hired to bring the beast back to life. This wasn't a simple paint job. The restoration cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. The team had to hunt down original 1959 Cadillac parts from across the globe. They replaced every rusted panel, rewired the entire lighting system, and rebuilt the V8 engine from scratch. They even sourced the exact vintage white wall tires to ensure 100% accuracy. When the engine roared to life for the first time in 2 decades, the mechanics reportedly cheered. The legend was officially back. Today, the restored Ecto-1 is kept in a climate-controlled environment. It's more reliable now than it ever was during the 1984 production. While it's technically a museum piece, it still makes appearances at major events. But look closely, those minor imperfections in the bodywork, the restorers left them there on purpose, to preserve the soul of the original filming vehicle. In today's market, the value of a 1959 Cadillac Miller-Meteor is staggering. Back in the 80s, you could find these in junkyards for a few $1,000s. Today, even a rusted-out shell can sell for $50,000. A fully restored, movie-accurate Ecto-1 is valued at over $500,000, with some collectors claiming it's a $1 million asset. It's no longer just a car, it's a blue-chip investment. When the Ecto-1 appeared in the 2021 film Ghostbusters Afterlife, it wasn't just CGI. The production team built new functional replicas, but they made sure to capture the old feel. Seeing the Ecto-1 drift through a cornfield, covered in dust but still roaring with life, brought tears to the eyes of fans across generations. It proved that some legends are simply immortal. Why do we care so much about a 3-ton ambulance? Because the Ecto-1 represents the heart of the Ghostbusters, working-class heroes using DIY technology to save the world. It's loud, it's messy, and it's constantly breaking down, but it always gets the job done. The Ecto-1 is the ultimate character in the franchise. It has survived neglect, rust, and decades of silence only to return stronger than ever. Whether it's the siren, the fins, or the smell of burning oil, there will never be another car quite like it. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into cinema's most famous ambulance. If you enjoyed this journey, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most iconic vehicles. What cars should we cover next? The DeLorean? The Batmobile? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, who you gonna call?